think we're excited. We've been spending the last 4 weeks getting ready for this week. So, this is where we get to see, what we're all about. But the team's in a good mood about it. We're excited to play.
Is there something that you want to see from your team in terms of results, just on-court play where okay, we are ready for conference?
Yeah,
this is where I want them to be.
Yeah, I do think we're ready. I don't know what else we could do to get ready. And, the best part about playing conference plays, we're so much more familiar with who we got. And, there's just no real surprises either way. They know everything about us too. And so, you can really settle in and be really comfortable with your game plan and commit to it and then get out there and try to execute it. But, we want wins. That's the bottom line.
Can we just get a quick breakdown of your first opponent, West Virginia?
Yeah, good team, athletic, really long. They touch a lot of balls. Good pins, athletic middles. Great libero. They're a solid group. So, nothing's going to be easy.
And then you got the results you wanted, 3-0 on the weekend. But at times it looked like you were just about as frustrated as I've ever seen you. Was it just maybe the way you started? Like, what was it about it? Even though when you look at it, you see 3-0 in a tournament win, but
there were a couple moments, couple sets that it wasn't that we were flat, but we were content with just kind of siding out with the other team, and to me, we didn't really look like we were trying to really separate or finish. We were just okay to play with them, and we didn't finish. We didn't win those two sets, and so we had good runs. We did some really nice things throughout the weekend, but we just kind of had a couple minutes where we just kind of stalled, and at this time of the year, I wasn't real happy about that.
I know everyone's been talking about Tatum, but I guess how do you kind of feel the team's kind of adjusted to the new offense? Because I know at one point you had a 6-1, 5-2, and then I guess how do you kind of feel y'all have switched to that?
Well, we're all locked in with Tatum, and our results with our offense have been pretty good. We're still getting a bunch of kills. We're able to side out the way we want to. We're not quite as efficient as I'd like to be. Sometimes it takes us an extra possession within the rally to get the kill that we need instead of just doing it first time. But for the most part, we've been pretty happy. I don't think anybody's numbers are suffering, and as a team, we're still scoring.
Kind of alluded to it, but I guess just in terms of rallies, I guess how important is it to obviously get some against a West Virginia squad, as you said, that is so good on the defensive end where they're going to get to a bunch of balls?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be really big for us to be able to just get Tatum in a position where she's got all of her options and try to spread these guys out and try to negate some of the length that they have. And if we're down to one option all night and it's just Emily and Brooke and Caitlin trying to go against a set defense, then that's going to be a struggle.
I guess generally, I know you kind of said it, but I guess do you kind of feel that's going to be, I guess, the best way to kind of obviously attack their defense is just spread them out, just try and get them to a point where you find a spot in their defense?
I mean, that generally works against everybody. That's a pretty typical thing, but there's different ways to do it. But yeah, anytime that we can get some seams and let our hitters go strong, that's what we want to do.
With the opener of Big 12 play, what have you seen from not just West Virginia, but from the rest of the league this year, and what you expect to see from them overall as a conference? I guess with the way to word that.
Yeah, I think the Big 12 in general is up this year. A lot more returning players than a year ago, less injuries across the conference than we saw a year ago, and I just think you're seeing the conference playing more like what they're expecting to play like, and it's going to be a battle every night. But I think in general, I think the conference would say we're up.
You mentioned the battles every night going back to this weekend. Is that where your frustration comes from, knowing that those little times when they were just settling, you can't do that starting this weekend? Yeah,
but on Saturday I really wasn't thinking about tomorrow night. I was just looking at our team in that moment and just knowing that we should be playing a little bit stronger than we were, and the things that we were getting stuck on at this time of the year we shouldn't be stuck on. But I wasn't putting that urgency about tomorrow into that. It was just in that moment.
Apologies if you even asked this earlier, but Lindsay, we know about Alex, obviously. Lindsay didn't play this weekend. I don't know how long she's been out or what her issue is.
Yeah, she rolled for a ball in practice and hurt her shoulder. It's an older injury that she's had before, and she's going to be back sooner than later. She's just waiting for the swelling to go down and the pain to go away, and then she's going to be back. It's not a long-term thing, but it may keep her out for the rest of this week.
And who kind of younger player-wise are you expecting to kind of step up, especially as we kind of roll into Big 12?
Yeah, we've already seen Katie Northcutt take that position head on, and she's been terrific. Last weekend she was on the all-tournament team, and her serve receiver defense, just her serving, she went on a monster run. I think she served 13 points in a row at one point on Saturday, and she's been great. And so I've been so happy with her, and just her taking on that challenge and stepping up when we needed somebody to replace Lindsay, and she's been great.
Now, I don't know necessarily earlier in your career how much you've had to deal with, injuries and playing younger players earlier and earlier, but have you kind of learned throughout the years how to properly introduce them and how to kind of address and open them up so that they're not maybe overwhelmed? Maybe you're better now than you were 5 years ago.
I hope so, yeah. It's always been my philosophy or attempt that I don't like to play players before I can feel reasonably confident that they're going to be successful. And, sometimes you got to speed that timeline up. You don't have a choice. Now, in Tatum's case, she's an experienced player. She's a sophomore. She's been through it. She's a Pac-12 transfer. She knows what it's all about. So I don't feel like that's been what we've been going through with her. It's just been more about kind of making some tweaks to put her in more of a comfortable situation so that she can play to her strengths. But, when you have players like Lindsay go down, that's tough. But Katie's a sophomore, and she's been through it before. There's the freshman that we're getting the most run out of is Caitlin Dugan. But I think anybody on our team would look at her and say she doesn't act like a freshman. She's mature and she gets it and has a great attitude about things. So never looks like there's a moment too big for her. So she's definitely a freshman that's ready to go.
I think it gave us a lot of confidence because we ended preseason strong and on a good note. So I think it was a good starting point for us to open up Big 12.
And Coach, you just talked about Katie Northcutt. Obviously, she's somebody who got a lot of experience last year. What is it about her, just from a teammate's perspective, someone that plays as DS with her, that kind of gives you some confidence in her when she's on the court with you?
I think we both kind of have the same personality on the court, so I know that I can look to her in time of need, and she can look to me in time of need, and she just has that go-getter personality. If she doesn't get a ball up, she tells me she's going to get the next one up, and just constantly has a positive mindset.
What's the key for you guys when maybe someone does go down who gets a lot of playing time, for someone to come in who maybe doesn't get as much, and kind of the flow and communication stays the same? What's the key to kind of that on the floor?
I think the key is just stepping up in your own personal role, maybe kind of trying to take all the baggage off of them, stepping into that new role, and just making your play better so that it's not as hard on them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then for you, is there a different type of, obviously every game you want to go in with the same type of mentality and winning, but Big 12, does it just feel a little bit different?
Yes, it's a lot different.
For you, is there just an excitement that kind of comes around with Big 12 play?
Yeah, I think it's an excitement, but it's also seriousness. It's the real deal, and so now it's time to really lock things down and take everything to another level. So every game matters, every night matters, so you have to come prepared and with the right mindset each time.
I know this group has been under the leadership of Tatum for a few weeks, and you've gotten kind of comfortable with her. How would you describe kind of her personality on the court?
I think she's super tough. I love playing with her. She's such a good teammate, and I think she's just someone we can count on. If she does mess up, we know that she's gonna bounce back, or you can always count on her to talk you up and make you feel like you're a better player.
And you see on Friday night, for example, she goes up and gets just a monster block on the outside and turns around and just has so much emotion and has so much energy.
Yeah.
How does that affect the players on the court and really just anybody on the bench as well, too?
Yeah, it amps the entire team up, and it makes us want to get the next point for her. So,
I guess, what do you kind of remember about West Virginia from last year, other than kind of all the rallies y'all were in?
I do remember them being really long and pin dominant. But for the most part, that's all I remember. It's a new team. I feel like everyone's kind of looking a little different this year in the Big 12.
So I guess when Coach talks about their defense, I guess what do you feel you all have to do to kind of obviously counteract that or just kind of be in a good position to win?
I think a big key of ours is to be good when they're out of system. Like if we can stop West Virginia when they're out of system and take advantage of those plays, then it'll put us in a good space.
How did it feel to be on the all-tournament team this past weekend?
It was really exciting. I was super happy to be able to earn that, and I thought we as a team had a good weekend, so just knowing that I made all tournament, it really amped up my confidence.
And then your first 4 games at home, you've won all of them.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel to be like undefeated at home and like?
It feels great. I think it's a lot easier to defend your home court than it is to go win some road games. So I'm glad that we have been able to defend our home court, and I hope we can continue to do that.
I think kind of what Emerson was saying, it just takes everything up a notch. In my mind, it becomes much more serious, which is crazy because I take every game seriously, but we all do. But it's just every game counts, every play counts. Yeah, it's just the real deal.
Last season for you, I guess, do you kind of feel a little, I guess, as you kind of said, some angst, or I guess, are you just trying to take it one match at a time and just try to calm yourself a little bit, or I guess, how does it kind of feel to you with this last Big 12 season?
I think just take one game at a time. Enjoy every fight each night. So not really nervousness.
For you, what do you remember about West Virginia last year? I know it's a different team, but it seems like there are some core values that they stick with, and it seems like defense seems to be that one thing.
Yes, they are. They're very scrappy, which is frustrating as a hitter. But watching them so far, they're scrappy and they have a solid offense. So
I know Coach kind of alluded to it, but is it just, I guess, easy enough to say you just try to find the place where they're not, or I guess is there a little bit of, I guess, chess involved in there?
Yeah, there's some strategy, but then we could say cross is open in film, but then we get in the game and it's not. So it's just a hit it here and then they pick that one up, so you go the other direction. Yep.
Coach had talked about how this is a team that gets a lot of touches on the ball at the net, and so for you, does that change or affect your approach in attacking?
I think just the fact that I can't get frustrated. They will get their touches and they're going to get their digs. Something we talked about in practice yesterday was that libero is just going to scoop everything up, so you can't let her frustrate you.
You had mentioned, it's frustrating as an offensive player, somebody, at the net to be going against such a scrappy team. Why is that?
Because you slam a ball down, they barely get it up, they run into the bleachers, they barely get it up, then they somehow get it over, and you have to do it all over again. And it's just, it kind of takes it out of you after a while. You just get really frustrated and annoyed.
Coach had mentioned 3-0 weekend this past weekend, but at times maybe a lapse in focus. How do you guys get beyond just looking at results and saying, hey, we won, and say, no, we need to be better than that?
Right. I think it's just that he was clearly very frustrated. But then in practice, we have to slow it down, and it's not just about getting the kill. It's about making it good and making that pass good. And so just making sure that everyone is focused on doing their own job. And then as a team, we're all together focused. So
since she filled in for Alex, where has Tatum grown the most kind of leading the offense?
I think she's much more confident than she was at the beginning, for sure. And she was super confident then too, but she's just really stepped into this role and done a great job.
And then for you, is there a confidence that then y'all have in her? Not to say that you weren't confident in her to begin with, but just there's that communication that's kind of flawless at this point.
Yeah, for sure. We're all connecting with her more. We know where she's going to put the ball. We can, expect certain things. So.
And then you never want a losing streak early in the
right.
season, but to have one and to bounce back with 6 straight wins, does that give you guys some sort of mentality that maybe you can look back on later on in the season, especially in Big 12 play, if you go through a run kind of like that?
I think, we can learn a lot from it. Losing's going to happen, but it's how you bounce back from it. And I think we picked ourselves up after that little streak and came back stronger. So.